Kanya, stop hitting me. Just relax.
Get off the stage!
That's insane. This is part 2 of my analysis of the couples and the relationship and the shit show that went down in the Ultimatum South Africa. A little refresher, we have 6 couples, of which 2 are kind of boring, but the whole show is carried by Ruth and Isaac, and then the whole shit show between Ruth and Nola, and then Nakateko and Kanya. Honestly, that's what carries the show, and that's why I'm gonna focus most on them, because we can actually get some insights from them. The other people, the healthy people, what do we talk about? Says a lot about us, huh? So Nakateko and Kanya are the original couple. She gave the ultimatum, and we can say that she's a tough one, okay?
You're asking me this, what do you bring to the table thing? And I never engage in that. I'll give you the most cliche answer and say I'm the table.
Some of you might have a bit more harsh words for her, but I'm gonna keep it civil, at least at the beginning of the video. So Nakateko is paired with Siza, and we already know that Siza gets on Kanya's nerves. In my personal opinion, it's because Kanya has a little bit of a challenge accepting that a woman can be soft, can be open, vulnerable. And because Kanya is anything but that, and she even praises herself on being not like the other girls, it does bother her. And it bothers her even more that this woman is now paired with her ex in this case. While Nakateko and Siza themselves are enjoying it. But they do cross some lines when they are showing that love in front of other people. It's like, we get it, you're cuddly, you're bubbly, but don't put it in the faces of the other people. We are human at the end of the day. So if I'm seeing you all giggly with someone else, it's gonna be maybe a little bit difficult to be open and vulnerable in my own trial marriage. We also see Nakateko exchange some words with Courtney. Courtney is, it seems like, the mature, the wise one of this cast. She's keeping her boundaries and she shares wisdom about relationships. And when she's talking with Nakateko, she is very direct by saying that she doesn't get how Kanya and Nakateko are together. Like, how does this work?
But you can't keep being her punching bag.
Yeah.
She even says that the fact that he's not very open with his emotions, because apparently that's something he wants to work on, is because he's being a punching bag for Kanya. I think she's trying to say people are much more comfortable and open with their emotions when there is someone else on the other side that actually is open to receive that and doesn't judge you for that. And it does feel that Kanya does appreciate this, I'm better than everyone. You need to work a lot to get close to me. She appreciates that. And it could be that prevents Nakateko to be more open because in some way, that's not really what Kanya values. Now, in this experiment, they also kind of meet each other's, some kind of, or friends or family or whatever. And Nakateko is talking with his mom. It's a Zoom call. And basically, in that time, there is this opportunity for her to meet Siza, which is his trial partner. Now, before we get to that, we find out that Nakateko's mom is not a fan of Kanya, like not at all. We don't really get much details. She just doesn't like how Kanya is treating her son. And honestly, we cannot really say much. Like we can say because we see how Kanya is treating people. But at the end of the day, it can quickly become we all just gang up because we have the same views and assumptions, but it's still a TV show. While their relationship is real life relationship. So we also don't know how is Nakateko's mom, okay? So I don't want to take any sides, though I was kind of agreeing with her. On the other side, when she meets Siza, it feels like she likes Siza, right? Siza is open, nice, soft, and she appreciates that. She likes that Nakateko is with someone like that. One small thing that I want to add here, I feel like Nakateko likes a certain type. I think that he really appreciates the openness, vulnerability, and the emotional part and connection that he has with Siza. But I think he is driven by, the type of woman that Kanya is, which is conventionally accepted as more beautiful, let's say. And, because she has also this persona of I'm better than anyone, I feel Nakateko also likes that then that person is kind of with him, is choosing him. There is a dynamic there where he likes feeling like the guy that Kanya accepts, even though it doesn't seem like he's really happy in that relationship. On the other side of the area, because they're all living like neighbors next to each other, we see Kanya and Isaac. And if you remember, the paradise that they experienced the first week of being together shut down the second week when they kind of understood that they're not really each other's type. Now, from Kanya's side, Isaac is a mama's boy, okay? At the same time, Isaac is also not so keen on Kanya anymore because she doesn't do anything. According to him, she is, maybe out for something else, not just love. Am I being subtle enough? In this energy, we get the fight about the dishes.
Kanya, she'll use dishes and she's just gonna leave it there. In the morning, I'll leave everything clean, but when I come back from work, I'll find 3 or 4 plates.
Now, I want to ask you, how many of you had fight about who's going to clean the dishes between you and your man? Or, if you were in a relationship or if you haven't been, do you think that's a thing that couples go through? I would say that there's always one person that likes doing dishes. No, not true. I take that back. There's always one person that does the dishes immediately, and there's the person who doesn't. I would fall in the second group. We see Isaac coming home from work, I guess, and Kanya is on her bed, on her phone, scrolling, and, the camera shows how one sink is full of dishes. Now, Kanya is like, the fuck? Who asked you that you need to do the dishes? Yes, it's my dishes. Leave them there and I'm going to get to it when I get to it. Okay? It's not my problem that you want the dishes cleaned. It's your problem.
Who forces you to wash the dishes, first of all? Did I ever give you that
No,
treaty?
it's not like a force. I'm just saying, like, if you use something.
About dishes.
Now, if you ever took that position, shame on you. Look, as much as I am 100% the person that is not the best in taking care of her dishes, okay, I have a problem. I'll work on it. We're saving for a dishwasher. If your partner is someone who makes sure that they always clean after themselves, if your partner is someone who tells you that it's kind of important for them to do that, we need to do it, okay? Then it happens that one day you won't do it, and then your partner would be like, I would prefer that you did it, but I also understand maybe you had a rough day, maybe you just didn't feel it like that. Like all of that is totally normal. I would avoid getting into this heated fight that the two of them had when it was just like, but you should clean the dishes, but I'm not gonna clean the dishes.
I'm always washing dishes. Even when I come back from work, I find your dishes
who
there. I
asked
wash
you to
dishes.
wash
It's not
dishes?
about you asking
Who asked
me.
you to wash dishes?
It's not about you asking
Who
me.
asked
I
you
try
to-
to help you out. When I come back, I find
Who
dishes. I help.
asked you to
I
wash
it.
dishes? Who asked you to wash
It's not
dishes?
about you asking me. Nobody
So
asked you
why
to
make
wash
it my
dishes.
problem then?
And if I put myself in the position of Isaac or someone like Isaac, it's just the fact that you also want to come home and have clean dishes so now you can use them, right? So you don't feel like, okay, before I need to use things, now I need to wash it. And to me, that is totally reasonable and should be prioritized versus the other person that doesn't feel like cleaning or doesn't have the discipline of cleaning right after. I don't know. I had roommates, I lived in dorms and so on, and I understood when I left my dishes in the sink and people would not be that happy, okay? It was on me. I cannot say it's not my problem. It is. It is my problem, and I'm sorry for that. And then you clean the freaking dishes. But which one are you? I like cleaning dishes, or I'm so disciplined in cleaning it immediately. Or are you the one who's like, dishes will disappear, okay? I know that universe somehow will understand my thoughts. And when I say there are no dishes in the dishwasher, I just have to be patient and wait. Now, this makes Isaac visit his friend, just down the corner. He goes to Lindile and he just needs someone to talk to. He needs to vent out because this whole situationship with Kanya is not working. While Isaac is talking to Lindile, Tabi goes to Kanya. And this is some interesting topics, may I say. But before getting into the tea on the girl's side, Isaac basically tells Lindile the whole I'm the table type of thing. And the conversation goes into how Kanya is convinced that what she brings to the relationship is her beauty. And basically it seems that both guys kind of agree that she needs to be humbled and checked a little bit.
This table is broken.
So this table has to have something really special.
This table brings the beauty. Okay.
You know what's kind of amusing to me? And maybe I might be a little bit evil, but Isaac chose Kanya, in my personal opinion, because the majority of it, because of her looks, right? And there are guys like that, guys that are struck away by how a woman looks like, and they are all in. Sometimes it happens that personalities don't really match. What they actually like in the relationship doesn't really match. Then it's the only thing she brings is beauty. Isn't it a little silly? Isn't it a little bit hypocrisy? Isn't it a little bit like, sure, first, you are all in because of her beauty, but then when other things don't pan out, then the beauty is now the only thing she actually has. It's a bit ridiculous. And if you find yourself thinking like that, take a seat, be a bit more mature, say, look, yes, she looks are perfect. Unfortunately, we don't match in other things, but it almost becomes like a point of insult, right? Now that's the only thing, and she's stupid to thinking that that's the only thing a woman should bring. It's also the main thing that you went for her. So who's shady here? Now on the other side, the girls are spilling some tea. Well, mainly Kanya. She expresses to Tabi that Isaac is not really, he can't really provide. And he splits his bills with her, the grocery bill.
So you guys like split the bill in half when you get grocery shopping. Imagine.
To Kanya, it sounds ridiculous that a man asks to split grocery bills. It's like, ew. Look, people look for different types of people, okay? People have different expectations in relationships. To me, as long as you two are two individuals, you both have income, unless there are certain things that prevent for you to share the bill, someone lost a job or cannot find a job or whatever, right? Then I can understand, okay, don't make me split now the bill because I'm in this difficult situation right now. But if everything is totally fine, and if you are at the beginning of a relationship, yes, we are splitting the bill. Are you freaking kidding me? I personally am of that mentality, but I do recognize that there are people who have different values and different structures how they see the relationship should be. According to Kanya, Isaac is being upset because she pulled back. Because when she got to know Isaac a little bit better, she just kind of understood that this is not it. So she wasn't so cozy to him anymore. And according to her, the dishes fight, or in general, him having a problem, is him not taking that well. And honestly, I do feel that there's some parts of it true. And I also believe that there are parts in Isaac's interpretation of how he sees the relationships and how things are going down and what he doesn't like true. I think there's more to it from both sides. After the conversation they kind of come together. So Kanya and Tabi join the boys or the men, and they are actually preparing dinner. And here is also, I watched the reunion, and in the reunion, Kanya said that she feels that certain things were edited in a certain way to make her the villain, because there needs to be a villain in the show in some way. And while I do agree to that, they cannot edit what you are actually saying.
Tanya, would you like a plate?
Not an entire plate, something to nibble on. You guys overfried this meat.
It's Isaac.
This meat is dry, but it's nice.
It's just this, she creates an atmosphere when people feel like they need to please her, that there is some kind of level that people around her need to reach. That's how she's living these moments, at least from what we see from the edit. People who have problems with insecurities or they themselves are very drawn to someone being like confident. I made a full video on how people use confidence to make you feel like they're better and smarter. They fall for this. They fall for someone being critical, someone being like, nothing is good enough. And they actually crave being accepted by this person. They're like, oh, wow, if they accept me, then it means that I must really be good, right? I think that's how Nakateko is feeling this whole or living this whole relationship with her. But when you are mature, or let's say you did understand certain things about yourself and you do understand if you do have some tendency to go towards status, you look at this person and you're like, you're rude. Like you're ridiculous. You're making a fool out of yourself. Like this is sad. The next thing that kind of made me roll my eyes when it comes to Isaac was that he actually meets with Lebo. He meets with Lebo and his attitude towards Lebo is so, sit down, please. Sit down. Because he's like, oh my God, why didn't I choose you? I'm so stupid that I didn't choose you.
Out of everybody else, you and I had like the best conversation. I feel like, okay, if I had to go with that decision.
cleansed her birthday, but...
Oh!
When someone gets humbled by something and then suddenly they become so humble and so like, what it reminds me of is if you watch the movie The Triangle of Sadness, it talks about this play of power, right? The question is, does power make you bad or the power just shows that you are bad? It's very interesting debate. In that movie, it shows how the rich act in an entitled way, but then when that is taken away, then suddenly they are so humble, but humble to the point that they would do anything to please the other person. It's like a fake humbleness because what you were wanting to do or because what you actually want to do didn't turn out the way you want to do it. I would much rather see if Isaac would just be normal to Lebo, like, hey, how are you, blah, 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 not being like, oh, why I didn't choose you. You didn't choose her because you didn't want to choose her. That's it. Don't be sorry now, because at the end of the day, that's not the point. Maybe the point is you recognizing why did you go for a person that was not so matchy-matchy with what you want to do a trial marriage. That should be your question. So that made me feel like I'm not trusting fully who Isaac is as a person and what he puts out there, to be honest. But what about his ex? What about the person he entered the show with? Well, Ruth and Nola are... I don't think they even do a trial marriage. They're literally acting like a couple. Ruth shares, and I think I mentioned it already in the part 1, she does not feel like she has fun with Isaac. She's not really herself. Things are not fun. Things are more serious. While with Nola, everything is like they laugh, they have good time together, and she actually likes spending time with him. Now, Ruth introduces Nola to her family. And when it comes to Ruth, it is obvious that she is falling in love with Nola. She gushes about him. She praises what they have. But her family is a little bit more like, okay, Nola, if you would have to spend a day with Ruth or with Lebo, who would you choose? And this is the moment when we get a masterclass of avoiding a question. I mean, it depends on what kind of day it is, but what are you actually asking? He is avoiding this question like it's a plague until by the end he says, based on how much fun we have now together with Ruth, I would choose to spend a day with Ruth. All of this comes down to basically none of the Ruth's family having any trust in this guy. They're saying that there's something fishy about him. They're saying that he's very good at avoiding questions. And we even see Nola in his solo interview saying that his tactic is simple, okay? Quote, I kind of give a lengthy explanation until people just get lost in the words and I get away with it. Class closed. At one point, he proceeds to say why he likes Ruth. Ruth is less dramatic. They fight less. While Lebo, she's more dramatic. Now, I have nothing against someone saying, look, there's a lot of fights that we have with, for example, in this case, my ex, while it feels that with Ruth, conversation is easier. There's another thing to say, she's dramatic. When you use a word dramatic, you're not just acknowledging that there may be communication problems or challenges and you're trying to work on it. You're basically saying that the other person is just being too much. That's different, and that tells me that you do not respect the other person at all, okay? There is a point where Nola actually meets for a little guys chat. And despite wanting to spend the day with Ruth, right, he still chooses Lebo. Now, here's the thing. We don't know the timeline. The timeline shows that he is all lovey-dovey in his relationship with Ruth. But then when he's like solo, he's talking that he wouldn't really leave Lebo. I also mentioned in the other video that I do feel that he truly wouldn't leave Lebo. I truly feel like he's taking this relationship with Ruth just as a fun thing, a free pass. But at the end of the day, he's going to stick with Lebo because in some way she's giving him more of what he needs. Both of the guys don't trust him. Aiden is listening to him and he's like, this guy's full of shit. Okay, I do not trust him at all. I think he's hiding things. And he also shares that with Lebo. Now, this is also a very, very interesting moment. Lebo starts to defend Nola. Now, here's the thing. I think that is honestly pretty normal. If we take away the fact that we know how Nola is, and if we look from Lebo's perspective, Lebo entered this show with a guy that she's been with together like 2 years, okay? And she is being in a trial marriage with a new guy, a person that she only knows for a week or 2 weeks. So when this person is telling her, I don't think Nola is good, she obviously steps in defense of her ex-partner. And she even says to Aiden that it's difficult for her to just accept that maybe Nola is bad because at the end of the day, it's all just assumptions. And she's the kind of person that needs facts. So that's one point. Like, I can totally appreciate the fact that she stood by her man despite someone else warning her about him. And she was like, you know, if I don't really have facts and these are just assumptions and you have a feeling, then, you know, I can't really stand behind that. I totally respect that. On the other hand, when you are someone who needs to have facts, who needs to see it with their own eyes, it is so easy to neglect the things that are not so clear-cut obvious. It can make you be very blind to not the obvious things, which are quite obvious. If someone tells you, your man is texting me on Instagram, right? But they cannot really show you a message. Of course, you can say, why should I believe that? But the fact that there is a person that is actually telling you that something about your man that doesn't feel right, unless you're a freaking celebrity, unless your man is a billionaire and everyone wants him, right? Or her, because it can be vice versa, there has to be some truth to it, no? Now, am I saying you should then completely attack your man and blah, blah, blah? No, not at all. I'm just saying, don't be so focused on there needs to be exact actual proof, because sometimes the proof is there. But just because it's a bit more subtle, you know it deep down, you know how your partner is treating you, or how they are coming home late, or they're not really, answering, or they go somewhere and they don't answer for a couple of hours, or whatever, right? Those are all also indications that maybe you need to have a talk about something. So while on one hand, I really respect, and I'm that kind of person, there needs to be proof, I also learned through my own experience that sometimes proof comes in a different form. It comes in how that person is respecting or disrespecting you. It comes in a form of, do they say, oh, you're just insecure? Do they say it's your problem? Are they always defensive? Are they always finding excuses? Those are all also the proof. The proof is not just you entering a room and finding your man directly being with someone, okay? So have a bit more of an open mind and actually understand, how am I being treated in the relationship? Nola even states this: I'm not playing both Lebo and Ruth. I just want to enjoy the moment without the other person. Now, if you poke a little bit into the other relationships, when it comes to Lindile and Tabby, the next kind of moment is when she introduces Lindile to her family. And when she does that, she's all like giggly, happy, and it's pretty obvious that she's falling for him. And her family also kind of clocks that. But they also clock that she might be a little bit delusional. According to them, you don't really know what our actual intention of this guy being in this show. So we find out that Lindile is actually an actor. And I don't know if I said that in the first video. So they do point that out. Like, are you really here because you want to see your relationship and so on? Or is this an exposure for you? And I already expressed, I think, in the first video also that I am a little bit suspicious of what are Lindile's actual feelings.
I don't trust this guy.
And honestly, I don't either, especially with their relationship between Tabby and Lindile. I think that Tabby is genuinely falling for him. I think Lindile isn't. When it comes to Aiden and Lebo, like I said, there's only friendship there, nothing happening. When it comes to Genesis and Courtney, I already said nothing really happening. And I think things would change drastically if they would be paired with different people, but that's just not in the cards for them. Now we have a girls' night out and boys' night out. You know, they need to share, they need to spill the tea. And it's the first time they have a chance to talk with the trial partner of their significant other. Now some tea is spilled, some shit goes down. We're gonna start with the girls because the heat is up. The girls are having their time together and Siza shares that she met Nakateko's mom, to which Kanya has the most childish, immature, and revealing reaction there can be.
Who did you meet from Kateko's side?
I met his mom.
Is she around? I thought she was still in Saudi Arabia.
So we had a video call.
Okay, that's a video call. I was about to say.
But it's still a meeting.
So now that you're telling me it's a video call, okay, makes sense. So you didn't meet her, but anyway.
Wow. I honestly think, and I shared it last time, that Kanya is one of the most insecure people that I've seen on TV in a long time. She's so insecure that she basically needs this facade that she has of being like more and, you know, not falling for gimmicks and for lies. It feels so fake when then these small moments happen, because the fact that she totally dismissed the experience or downplayed the experience of Siza meeting Nakateko's mom is so petty and, like I said, so revealing. She needs to make sure that Siza doesn't think that this is anything real. And she even continues,
Katek and I haven't had sex since last year, September. So maybe it could have just been horny and
What? Why haven't
he's
you
just
guys
trying
been
to,
having
you know,
sex?
like, hey,
Why?
I'm not done talking. Why am I white? Haven't I let me finish my
okay,
sentence?
okay. No, it's just it captured me there.
Is it? Let me finish. Maybe we'll capture you further. No, I'm saying it's been a while, so maybe it could have just been using you for like easy, you know, because he hasn't had anything in a while.
this woman is scared shitless. She is terrified, but she keeps on masking it with, I'm better than you, you're, she body shames her and all of these things. And it's all because she is hella insecure. She cares. She cares. And to put salt on the wound, there is also a part where Tabby is expressing her, like sharing her experience, and she is basically paired with Lindile, who is ex of Siza, right, at this point. And Kanya is like, oh my God, the man is in love with you. Like Lindile being in love with Tabby. It's so manipulative and it's all to make Siza feel bad. Like, don't think that Nakateko is real with you, but also your man is actually falling in love with another person, which Tabby knows it's not really true. We all know it's not really true. So it's pathetic. Now, on the other side, the boys' conversation goes something a little bit like this.
Sir, do you wanna bang Kanya?
For me, I can take her home, but in the morning she has to leave. Whoa.
How can you say bang your person? That to me is so disrespectful. Isaac, of course, shares that he's not really happy with who Kanya is as a woman or what would he like in a relationship. And what Nakateko wants to know is if they are experiencing the same issues as Nakateko is experiencing with Kanya. I'm gonna say this. In my personal opinion, I think Nakateko is a little bit delusional in this whole situation. The fact that he wants to know if they have the same issues is almost irrelevant in a way. Because if the person says, yes, we have the same issues, which happened between Isaac and Nakateko, then Nakateko can say, okay, I'm not the problem. I am not the problem and she needs to work on some things. But saying that also again puts him in a position where he can be the one to help her work on those things. I mentioned in the first video that the dynamic between the two of them almost feel like they're both trying to be the special ones, right? Kanya is putting this image of how she doesn't care, but basically she just wants to make sure that the person is obsessed with her because that will make her feel special and secure. While Nakateko on the other side has his own insecurities, and because he's chosen by Kanya, he also feels like that he must be special, that he's the hero, he's the one that will, help her or whatever. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if the issues are the same or not the same, because depending on how mature are you actually in realizing if something is good for you or not good, you will flip it however suits you. Like I said, or I'm not the problem, so she's the problem, so she needs to work on things, or I can be the hero who saves her, right? Or if the issues are not the same, then you're like, so maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe we need to both work on something to be together. Stepping out for people that are looking from outside, the problem is you two are not compatible, okay? The problem is that there are clear, deeper issues that are happening here, and while one person is extremely toxic and more damaging, in this case Kanya I feel is more damaging to Nakateko is dealing with his own desire to be special, to be the hero, to be the person that understands beyond, that keeps him in this relationship. Isaac also asks if Nakateko thinks that Kanya is a gold digger, to which Nakateko replies that he believes that she would never be in a relationship with someone who doesn't make a lot of money. So he doesn't say that she's a gold digger or not a gold digger, but he kind of points out that that's her value. Her value is the man to be the provider. Again, similar to what we talked in the previous video, is she with him because he was persistent or because of who he really is? Here, the undertone is she with me because I do make enough money for her to accept me, or does she really like me for me? But Isaac, on the other hand, has his own things to figure out. So through this whole boys' night, Nola is again trying to put the attention away from him when it comes to how far is he taking it with Truth. But the guys are not really trusting him. Like they are like, he's full of shit. He is talking nonsense and he's just trying to make himself look like the good guy, which actually makes Isaac take Nola on their own so he can kind of understand a little bit better. Now, this whole conversation is lying. Nola keeps on lying that he doesn't do anything inappropriate with Ruth or not taking it that far. And he's reassuring Isaac and blah, blah, blah. Okay, he is just basically lying to this man to his face. And Isaac seems to kind of believe him, but also not really. He is a little bit sus. He won't have to be sus anymore though. So the girls' night is kind of coming to an end and Ruth decides that she wants to talk with Leb. Now this is a delicate topic, people, okay? We can both agree on that. How do you say to the other person, hey, me and your ex, the guy that you gave the ultimatum to, the guy that you want to spend the rest of your life with, yeah, we were just jumping on the bed all the time and not like how kids do it. There's no good way of how you break that news to someone. There is Ruth's way though.
Nola and I have had sex not once, not twice, not twice.
Wow. But you know what? At least Ruth feels relieved right now. On the other side, Lebo is done. Lebo stands up and she's ready to walk away. I mean, walk to Nola to see what the F is happening. It's been a total shock to her. What she knew about him is that he has troubles communicating, but she didn't really know that he's also a cheater. Nola, for the first time in the whole series, is actually speaking the truth. Gotcha. Of course he's not speaking the truth. Are you kidding me? He is denying.
Why would you go to Lebo just have weird sex?
Like this man. I don't know about you. Like, of course, the situation is terrible, okay? But you have to appreciate the humor in this. You have to appreciate how Nola was literally being suggestive to Ruth and saying, Ruth, why did you joke about? Please back me up. Let's do that. This is a joke. Ruth's not playing this game. How this goes down it's by the book. Okay, it is by the book. When Nola gets cornered or gets exposed for what he's been doing, his tactic is now I'm gonna F up you, Ruth, because you went and told my girlfriend or ex-girlfriend in this case, now I'm gonna tell your boyfriend. It's immature, but it's also totally on brand for a guy like Nola. Let's deflect. Let's now put the focus on the other person, okay? Maybe then I'll magically disappear. But he also kind of flopped in that because, remember, he was denying it to Lebo.
I have to deny everything so that at least Lebo could be at peace.
So when he called Isaac in this fist of, I'm gonna now tell him, then Lebo on the other side is like, now you admit it.
Ruth and I were at sex, guys.
Oh, now he's agreeing.
I mean, TV perfection. We also see Ruth crying at one point and basically Isaac saying something in the lines of, you slept with a man that doesn't even want you. So it almost gives this vibe, which wasn't really shown to us, that Nola and Ruth are not, lovey-dovey that they're going to continue this, but that also this is now destroyed, which maybe it's not something that Ruth was expecting, because from her side, it did seem that she is trusting Nola that they could actually have a relationship, like the two of them at the end being together. And I guess that was not the outcome. The whole situation ends with Lebo and Nola leaving the experiment. He says that he didn't imagine that this is how they will finish the show. He thought that after this 3 weeks with the trial marriage partner, now they will be excited to come back together. They will be happy and bubbly, which, what the fuck are you talking about? You had sex with another person regularly. So he wishes that this wouldn't happen. He does owe Lebo an apology. He does feel bad, but he also doesn't regret it. So do with that whatever you want to do. On the other side, Caesar comes home from the girls' night and she shares with Nakateko how Kanya was treating her and everything that she's been telling her. Now, Nakateko, in some bizarre way, convinces Caesar to go to Kanya's place and kind of confront her. He is advising Caesar to stand up for herself in front of Kanya. And he basically takes her there. He doesn't go with her. He takes her there. Spot the difference? Yes, Nakateko ditches Caesar the second they come to Kanya's place. So when they're approaching Kanya's and Isaac's house, Kanya is sitting on the porch, I think you said, like outside, and she is not having it. Her attitude is anything but, do you want some biscuits and milk? Come in, let's have a chat. No, she is like, why are you coming here? You allowed to come here? And while she's saying all of that, Nakateko is kind of, okay, I'm going to leave you too. And then he leaves. While Kanya is clearly already attacking Caesar. Now, if you ask me, a dick move. Oh, ugh. So Caesar is left alone with Kanya's rage. And honestly, I'm just gonna share the clip because you can't even narrate this shit, okay? It is insane.
Hey! This is my patio. Leave! 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 Because you're so disrespectful. I'm so You are a ratchet hood rat. Leave! Leave! Okay. Leave! Okay. Leave! Calm down. Leave! I will calm down after you get your fat ass off my patio. Leave! Please, I don't Leave! Leave!
Kanya has some serious problems with anger management. The way she went off, the way she was insulting and body shaming Caesar, the way she was attacking her and screaming, that's not just someone who gets triggered. That's someone who needs serious intervention from experts that can actually help her with that. That's the thing, right? Every time Kanya has the opportunity to kind of explain why she acted the way she acted, she always says things like, I know I shouldn't be acting like that, but it just triggered me. I wish I would react differently. That's not really me. And it all seems a bit downplaying the seriousness of this situation. This is abuse. And there is no excuse for abuse. Doesn't matter how you're triggered, attacking someone like that is very, very wrong. Caesar finally manages to kind of get away from all this. And the second she returns back to the apartment, and I applaud her for that, she calls out Nakateko and she is basically asking him why the F did he leave her alone. Now, he does go to Kanya and he wants to confront her, which also I kind of commend that. I think that was the least that he can do based on how he put Caesar in that situation. And we basically see the same thing. Kanya is out of it, screaming, kicking him out.
Stand there if you want to talk to me. Don't come put your filthy feet with your cheap shoes in this house. And go brush your teeth before you show those horrible teeth. You're being disrespectful just like your fat ass hood rat.
That is insane. Nakateko shares that he has never seen Kanya act that way. And Isaac is there on bed and he literally says that there's no way that there is a person who actually acts that way. And here's the thing. There is. We just decide to ignore it, or we just decide to assign it to a bad moment, a trigger, instead of looking at it that this person is abusive, period. Kanya also in her solo interview says something very interesting, but also very alarming. So she says that she wishes she would handle it better, but
I think I'm so used to being this way. I don't know whether I am actually putting up a barrier or I've actually become that.
Even she is acknowledging that this is becoming or has already become a part of who she is, not even needing to put on a barrier. And that is very, very alarming. And she should really seriously take care of that. And the people around her should seriously, as difficult as it is, accept that she is at this point abusive. I'm not saying that she cannot fix it. Not at all. But if she's not really gonna address it, it's not gonna happen. It's been 3 weeks. The trial marriages ended, and now the original couples are coming back together. Now, nothing special. Aiden and Courtney are quite excited to come back together. Also, like I said, they haven't really experienced anything significant with other people. It was friendship on both sides. So I can't understand that they're the most excited to come together. There's nothing really hovering over them or whatever. When it comes to Genesis and Tabi, it's a bit of a confusion. The thing is that Genesis kind of sees how she was connecting with Lindile, and that makes him feel a little bit scared. Tabi, on the other hand, is also, she kind of experienced how another guy treated her much better than her university sweetheart, let's say. She also says that she doesn't really appreciate that much that it took her being with someone else, connecting with someone else, for Genesis to realize that he appreciates her and he wants to, lock her down in some way or get married to her. Lindila and Caesar come back together, and Lindila actually shares that he's not so sure about the ultimatum right now because he did have a connection with Tabi, but also he feels some type of way of how Caesar connected with Nakateko. To be honest, I personally think it's all a bit of an act from Lindila's side, that the problem is his connection with Tabi and he doesn't really know if he wants to go through the ultimatum. I think he's just saying that, but the reality is that he's more afraid of Caesar not wanting to be actually married with him or falling for Nakateko. That's how I feel, but maybe I'm wrong. Caesar, on the other hand, she says that she didn't expect the relationship she had with Nakateko and the fact that he was the type of person that basically gave everything that she asked for. And that does make her a bit confused, but she is still very much in love with Lindile. When it comes to Nakateko and Kanya 100% is not excited about coming back together to Nakateko. He is making her feel disgusted. She cannot even look at him. It's very defensive. It's very immature. It's very, very toxic. And Nakateko also shares that he is kind of, he's not also excited going back to Kanya because Kanya is behaving the way she is. And what he asks of her is just to act in a civil way and be respectful. And, Kanya in her own ways, again, starts with insults and so on. But what's new? Insults are her weapon of choice. When it comes to Ruth and Isaac, we can imagine they are not excited to come together. Also, we also know that she entered the show wanting to break up with him. So all of that is kind of making her, no, I don't even want to do this. She's also not planning to apologize for sleeping with Nola. She is apologizing for hurting Isaac, but at the end of the day, she stands by her decision. And honestly, at least she stands by her decision. Okay. I made this gut-friendly cookie dough. Like I found it on Instagram Reels, and it's kind of good. Okay, it's kind of good. This is my break. In Sweden they say this is fika. I mean, who wouldn't want to have that as a part of the culture? There is a must time of the day where you need to sit down, take some snacks and a coffee. So the couples switch and we first get a look into Nakateko and Kanya. This is paradise. This is paradise of hell. Kanya is treating Nakateko like he's the plague. She is not interacting with him, and he even says that or asks her if she's giving him the silent treatment. Also acknowledges that he's kind of used to it. Here's the thing. I personally totally understand not wanting to talk about something when you are feeling upset. And that's also what Kanya is saying, that she doesn't really want to talk with him because she feels very upset. That could be a normal reaction, but I'm gonna let you in on a little bit of a trick that can make the whole situation a little bit more healthy and not so much narcissistic, okay? Express it. Say it. Say to the other person, look, right now, I feel very upset. I'm not really sure how to express, how to handle it, but I do feel like I cannot really talk about it right now. I need some time for myself. I really want to cool down before we actually have this conversation because something in me is not really letting me actually listen to you. And I know that's needed if we want to solve this. People, it happened to me plenty of times. I would get upset about something, we would get in a fight, and something comes over me that I just cannot. I just go in my own cocoon, right? I want to move away. I want to leave that situation behind and the person for that moment. And I just want to be alone. And it's filling me up with being defensive and negative. And I'm just in this bubble. But I've come to learn how to acknowledge that, how to verbally express it to the other partner that that's what I'm feeling right now. And I do understand that they want to talk. I do understand their perspective, for example, but something is just keeping me locked in and I'm not really ready to calmly talk about it. I cannot tell you how often it happened that actually helped me let go. That not let go of the argument or, we still need to talk about it, but let go of the negativity and this, it almost sucks me in and like blocks me. And it feels like when I express that that's the state that I am in, it's almost like the walls kind of go down. And then I feel much more open to actually listen to the other person and also express myself in a more healthy way. So if you are experiencing that, just try it, okay? It's normal, kind of normal that you get into this, that you don't even want to talk about it. But sometimes also just saying to the other partner, look, I understand, I just need some time for myself, does wonders and is so comforting to your partner, because then they don't need to stay stuck in their own worry and stress. And especially if they're the kind of person that wants to talk about things, you also need to kind of give them something so they can feel okay as much as they can feel okay while you need some time. Okay? But that's not what these lovebirds do. No. What they do is escalate. Correction. Not they, she escalates. We basically see Kanya being directly abusive to Nakateko. He's basically sitting on the bed that they are supposed to share, and Kanya loses it. She starts screaming at him that he needs to get off the bed. She takes a bottle of wine that he bought and manages to insult also that, saying that he can take his cheap wine and go. The amount of references of cheap, fake, ugly, she's saying, it's kind of like, do I really trust that you're not materialistic? Okay. She takes the wine, she throws it, I think, on the bed next to him or something. But also at one point, we see her taking a glass and pouring the wine on him, on the bed.
Please take your wine and get off my bed.
Tanya, what the hell is this?
Take your cheap wine and get off my bed. Please, get off this bed. Now.
Tanya, stop being a bully.
Get off this fucking bed!
Tanya, stop hitting me. Just relax.
Get off this bed!
Just think about a man doing that to a woman. I don't really know how good it is to say, imagine if a man or imagine if a woman, because at the end of the day, that shouldn't be the reason for it. But I am going to say it here. I am saying it here because I feel like that's easier for us to register how wrong it is, right? Because we do know how domestic abuse happened since long time ago, men to women. So for us, that's easier to condemn. But because we are not really exposed or knowledgeable that much of how women can abuse a partner, I think sometimes it helps if we try to reverse the roles, just because we have better understanding of it. And imagine a man treating a woman like that. Honestly, I don't even know how Netflix allowed this to continue. But then on the other hand, they do it for the money, they do it for the show. But from the safety reasons, this is clear abuse and she should be removed from other people, 100%, at least according to my opinion. And if you yourself are in this kind of situation or find yourself in this kind of situation, I know it's difficult to say or it's easier said than done, but step away. You really need to step away, because in any case, nothing will change until you at least step away. You need to remove yourself. You need to create a space. And if it's easier for you to even think that that person needs space to understand how to recover these things, but seriously, you need to let go. And sometimes when you're letting go, like I said, it might be that that person will then, it will be a wake-up call for them, and then they need to go through the full process, which is not 2 days later being sorry and buying flowers or taking you out and paying for the dinner, right? It has to be like a serious process and recovery. And I have no knowledge on what exactly that means, but I do know that it's not just a couple of days or a week or a month or 3 months. It probably needs to be years. And sometimes stepping away, even though it will be hard at the beginning, the more you are removed, the more you will realize how that was the best choice for you. The more you're going to understand that the version of you that was caught up in that, hoping for that, was just a version that needed help. There is no doubt that you will see that you deserve to be treated better, but you need to take that step. You need to find a way to take that step. Ask yourself, do you really want to come to the end of everything that there is in a relationship like that? Just to look back and say, damn, I wish I would spend it with someone who would make me more laugh than cry. Because that is the decision and choice that you're actually making. It's not just about right now, this period and so on. It's your life. It's the one we have. I don't think I need to express it even more, but it's clear that Nakateko is in an abusive relationship. And just because she's the woman and he's the man, he fails to see that. He fails to actually realize that, to actually accept that that's what's happening. Unfortunately, and that's kind of a normal reaction, he engages in this fight and he calls her out on how she's behaving, but he also says that, and you want to be marriage material, to which Kanya has a quick response about she is a marriage material for men, not boys.
And then you want to be marriage material.
So who for you? I'm not married
Any
for
other man
boys.
wanna see this
For
bullshit?
men, not for boys.
You're disgusting.
So are you. You're
You
repulsive.
take
You're
yourself.
repulsive.
You
I'm
take
upset. You make
yourself.
me sick to my stomach.
If every man sees this
I'm
bullshit,
upset tonight.
you're not marriage
It
material.
doesn't matter. Whatever you're trying to
Isaac tried to talk to you.
Excuse me.
Who's the one who's pouring wine on who? You're the one who says the words
I
and
told
the
you
most
to get
against
off
me,
the bed.
woman.
You don't listen.
Imagine if I pour wine on you now.
don't listen.
You don't listen.
You don't listen.
You're
I told
33
you.
years old. And you stand there, you have the mind of a baby.
I told you to get off the bed.
Child of a baby, I'm telling you.
Get busted.
Fucking older than me, instead of kid in the mind.
Boy stuck in a man's body. How disgusting.
I don't know if you remember, but Kanya is actually older than Nakateko. Does this not make it even more interesting how she is insulting him? How she is using boys versus men to insult him? It's almost like she's playing on the fact that she's older and wiser, and his problem is that he is too young and immature to even understand what a real man is. It's very manipulative, is very shady, it's bullshit. Nakateko himself is also not handling the situation very well because he also starts insulting her, and that basically she needs to handle herself. And that's, I get it, emotions go, someone attacks you like that, you attack back, but it's clear that this is not okay. It seems that a couple of days pass, and suddenly they try to kind of break the ice of this tension that is between them, the arguments and the silent treatment. He also apologizes to her for hurting her and the fact that he put himself first in this trial marriage. So what I'm gathering from this is Kanya is upset that Nakateko even connected with Caesar. How could he do that? And he's basically apologizing that, yes, I did think more about myself in this trial marriage than I thought about you. So he's now apologizing for that. We don't see Kanya apologizing for anything, but we do see Kanya getting the opportunity to mock Caesar again. While she is asking Nakateko what actually happened, I think that's what was bothering her. The fact that she didn't really know what exactly happened. And instead of actually having a conversation, she just created this wall and just insulted him, created distance for him, because it's easier to create the distance from the person than to actually acknowledge that you've been hurt and how to handle it. So while she's basically asking him that, there is a bug on her hand.
And there's a spider on your arm. Hey, boss lady.
You know I'm not afraid of fans. Would you expect me to be like, ah, like Sasagele?
You see.
Wow.
Hey, yo.
This man is on a mission to make her feel good and appreciated because he acknowledges that all of her behavior is due to the fact that she is worried that he is more connected with Caesar than with her. So this is the part where he's justifying her behavior, where he is not able to see this as abuse, like a serious problem. Just sees it as her defending herself, trying to protect herself. And what he needs to do is show her that she doesn't need to do that, you know? It's really, really dangerous when we think like that and when we always try to see beyond of what the person is actually doing. That's not our responsibility. It's not our responsibility to understand why is someone acting abusive or why is someone abusive. It's not on us. It's on the experts, and they need to deal with it with that person. They can convince you though that it's your fault, and this is exactly what's happening in this particular relationship. Nakateko is now in the position of defending himself or feeling guilty about how he connected with Caesar, which totally kind of evaporates the actual issue of Kanya being an abusive person. So he says, oh, boss lady. And Kanya is, she shines. That's the thing about Kanya, right? You need to tell her how good she is, how perfect she is, how the best she is. Do you think it stayed with there? No. She needs to double down. What? Do you think that I'm like one of those girls that it's or how Caesar would be like, oh my God, a spider. Oh my, like, I think I gave enough of analysis on who Kanya is as a person. But man, pick me is on the top. She desperately needs to be better than other girls. I wouldn't scream for a spider. Do you think I'm one of those girls? We both have a vagina. What does that have to do with anything? They also actually get in the conversation about her being materialistic, that's something that Nakatekon and Isaac were talking about, which she says, I'm not being materialistic. Would I be with you if I was materialistic?
For an entire year, do you think I'll deprive myself of gold and material for an entire year? For you?
Why did you then?
Because I'm not materialistic and a gold digger. Yes, I've got standards, but I am a sucker for love.
I've said it before, right? Nakateko is in this, there's something special about me. That's why she's with me, right? There's something magical about me. I'm so much better than everyone else. I can be the hero, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I'm with you because I'm not materialistic. If that is not a reason enough to marry someone, what are we even doing? So Ruth and Isaac come back together as a couple, right? After the trial marriage. Now, it's obvious that Isaac is almost behaving a little bit like Kanya. He's there, but he's not really there. Now, mind you, he's not abusive. He's not screaming to Ruth, none of that. But he is kind of, I came back, but I don't really feel like being here. At one point, Ruth kind of is done with it, right? She's done with it because Isaac came back, so they should work on this relationship, but at the same time, they're not really doing anything. So she calls him out and she's like, okay, you came back, that's all good and fun, but why are you even back if you cannot even touch me, if you cannot even really talk with me? And Isaac is kind of like, oh, if she knew, you know why I'm back? You know why I'm back? He stands up, he goes to his jacket, and he brings the ring.
Let me show why I'm here.
Isaac, since they came into this show, had a plan of giving Ruth an engagement ring. He entered the show hoping that at the end of everything, or even thinking that at the end of everything, he's going to give her what she wants and that will be kind of the happy ending. I call bullshit. Not bullshit that he didn't do that, but I call bullshit on him using this as the reason why he keeps staying in this relationship. Why is he coming back? The way he connected with Kanya from the beginning, the way he was courting her and all of those things, I don't know how you can then stand there and say that you were planning to propose to Ruth all the time. I truly believe if everything went well with Kanya, he wouldn't propose to Ruth, even though he planned to do it. And also, which is also something that Ruth states, and honestly, she's smart. She felt when he gave her that ring that it was almost like, look what I am doing for you, just to make her feel even worse about the fact that she engaged with someone else, not acknowledging that there were serious problems, that she came to the show because she didn't even trust that he doesn't have like another family or hiding something. But you're now trying to pull out you don't even know what I was planning.
Like, really what I want to say to her face, like, see what I'm planning and see what I'm doing.
I don't know. To me, it's giving a little bit like fishy vibes, the same as he did with Lebo, being all, oh my God, why did I do it? And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't trust it. I don't really believe that he is the type of guy that really wants to commit in the relationship or really understand that he also needs to be a partner in the relationship. I don't really feel that way. And that is actually confirmed when he finally introduces her to his family. In that conversation, it is very clear to his family for sure that he is not ready for marriage. We find out that he's partying, he's coming home in the morning hours. And Isaac says that that's just who he is.
As much as I can give you attention and the love that you need, yes, I'm not complaining. At the end of the day, I need to be Isaac.
Yeah.
So through the whole show, they never showed us that Isaac is a single man who wants to have the life of a bachelor in some way while being married and having his woman at home caring for him. That's at least how I understood. And if I am missing something, let me know in the comments below. But that's how I saw the whole situation. To me personally, his idea of marriage is whack. Ruth, in her solo interview, again, a very wise lady, shares that she believes that they are more in love in the idea of being together than actually being in love with one another. At this point, a week has passed, and Nakateko expresses that he is tired of fighting.
I don't want to fight anymore. I actually don't have the strength.
I am a little bit confused with the timelines, but it seems that despite, praising Kanya on, being a boss lady and whatever, it didn't work because for the next week, they were still constantly fighting. So he's kind of over it. If you reach a point where you are exhausted of the fight, when you are exhausted to actually come together with the other person, it is not you. But what is happening, in my opinion, is you are being broken down. You are being exhausted to the point that you are willing to do anything and let go of any boundaries that you yourself had just to stop the fight. And you guessed it, that's abusive. But, Kanye also doesn't want to fight anymore. But of course they're going to fight if he did something wrong. How can she not fight? Kanye and Nakateko, though, have a really impressive, Elon has nothing on them when it comes to problem solving, tactic on how to get out of this situation, how to turn a new leaf. They just start chuckling.
What I just realized, your love is very soothing.
Laughter is medicine. Shocker. Her laugh is soothing. After a week of fighting, are you freaking kidding me? I'm no expert, but that dynamic feels very, very toxic. This ends with Kanya also acknowledging that maybe she was dwelling too much on the negative, or both of them were. And, they just realized that actually they just missed each other very much. And this is what created all of this. And they should focus on the positive, not just on the negative. Somehow she forgot that she was the one who was doing that. The day has come, for Nakateko to finally answer Kanya's ultimatum. And after everything that they've been through, after the whole experience that challenged them in many ways, Kanya is the best thing that ever happened to him. She is the only person that ever made him even think about getting married. He even imagines having little Kanyas around. She made him a better man. Kanya is smiling. We see the joy on her face. We see how good she feels about everything that Nakateko is saying. He also acknowledges that there are things that they need to work on. But at the end of the day, she wants her to know that he chooses her. And Nakateko gives her the ring and says, I promise you that one day I will give you an engagement ring.
So what's this?
Kanya is obviously not happy about this, and she storms off, and we see Nakateko going after her, but she just doesn't want to even hear it, accept it. She's like, you've been talking to me, how you're gonna propose me. It was your idea to even get married, not mine. And now you're giving me a promise ring? Like, who gave you this idea, right? She's implying that someone else told him to do that. But Nakateko stands his ground, saying that this is all that he can give at this point. He also understands that she's angry and how she feels, but at the same time, he does acknowledge or speculates that she's more angry about not getting what she wanted rather than actually acknowledging the problems that they have in a relationship, which I totally 100% agree. I personally think that Kanya is the type of person that puts something in her head and that will be her proof of love or whatever, and she's willing to totally dismiss the problems that she's creating in the relationship and the problematic behavior that she has. That's totally not relevant because, everyone has problems in the marriage, but if you actually want to be with someone, if you actually love someone, then you get married. And that's just stupid. Stupid, period. No. She even says, quote, if I let him get away with this, I will never get anything I want from him ever again. And I think that tells you everything about mindset of Kanya. It's not about actually having a good relationship, having a good partner, being good partners to one another. It's all about what she wants. The next couple is Siza and Lindile. And Siza needs to basically answer Lindile's ultimatum if he still gives the ultimatum. Long story short, he basically proposes again and she says yes. Do I trust this whole union? Not so much, but I'm going to talk about it later when we go through the reunion. Genesis and Tabi also get married. So Genesis finally proposes to Tabi. He even gives her some kind of letter. I think that's the lobola. And Tabi accepts. Aiden and Courtney also get engaged. They were the healthiest through the whole season. Now Ruth and Isaac. People even thinking about what happened there, it makes me want to cry. Like, honestly, I'm getting emotional. I don't know why. And the day comes for Isaac to answer Ruth's ultimatum. Will he propose or not? This made me so emotional. Isaac starts by saying that he appreciates who Ruth is. He loves her. But deep down, he knows that she deserves way better than him.
I'm sorry for everything.
You don't have to. I don't want me to hate you because that's never worked out.
Like, I'm getting emotional rewatching this. I don't know why. I think it's the music. Like the sound selection is kind of making me all want to cry. Ruth agrees. Oh my God. Did you get emotional watching the two of them? So basically, Ruth agrees with him that it's not the best thing to move forward with the marriage. But she also says that she doesn't feel it's okay how he's been making her feel and how he's been treating her. And she actually also wants to end the relationship. Isaac agrees, but later on we see that he does get a little bit upset. But all in all, to me personally, and I think that's why the whole situation made me so emotional, is because we see basically two people coming together in a way, in an open, honest, and vulnerable way, and deciding that despite the love they shared or the relationship they share, they do acknowledge that they are not good for one another. And it almost makes me feel, it's sad, but it's also happy. It's rare and it's beautiful to see two people acknowledging in a mature way that it's best for them to separate. And there's no yelling, fighting, screaming, or anything like that. I don't know. It just made me... But what happened a year later? People, this reunion takes place a year after filming of the show, The Ultimatum South Africa. Who stayed together, who didn't, and all the shit that went down. First, if we just continue with Ruth and Isaac, they are splitted, obviously. Ruth seems very happy and she is actually in a new relationship. And according to her, this new man is giving her everything that she feels she deserves, and it's a good relationship. When she is asked about if she would do anything differently, she actually says she wouldn't, because at the end of the day, it was an experiment and it did taught her about herself. It did make her realize that she takes impulsive decisions. Isaac, on the other hand, he seems to be single but dating. He also acknowledges that it would be a better choice if he would choose Lebo, because that would actually help him to be better in a relationship, maybe even with Ruth. And Ruth is expressing that from her perspective, Isaac was just taken by the idea of spending 2 weeks with someone else, which honestly, I felt like that also. Now, what about Nola, the trial partner of Ruth?
Whew.
According to Nola, odds were against him.
Lebu was different to Ruth. Ruth is different to Lebu. So I see something new that I would want to have in my relationship. And Ruth was there. Like the odds were against her.
He is just so damn unlucky that the person he paired with was someone who he actually liked. So what was he supposed to do? It's not his fault that Ruth had exact characteristic that he was missing in the relationship with Lebo that made him, instead of focusing on working on himself, flip and basically get into relationship with Ruth. He does say that he wishes that things would come out differently, not the way they did when it comes to, the expose of the two of them sleeping together. And he does thank Ruth for her being free around him and making him feel free around her. He doesn't regret going into the trial marriage with Ruth because he also understood what does he actually want in the relationship. He even states that according to him and Ruth were kind of, cruising nicely. Like they matched good. But someone has a problem with that. Next to him is Lebo. Lebo feels some type of way, and she says it never feels good when a person you are with is praising or complimenting the other woman.
You can't admire another woman while you're sitting to someone you're in a relationship with.
Yes, Bess, you heard it right. They are together. This Apparently, Nola asked Lebo for a second chance, and Lebo gave him that second chance. We also find out that since the show was filmed, Lebo and Isaac are in contact, and it seems like they kept the friendship that they kind of built in the during the show. And Isaac shares that he's not really happy that Lebo is still with Nola because she is obviously not happy. Now, this caught Nola by surprise because, first of all, he didn't even know that Lebo is in contact with Isaac. And second of all, he did not know that Lebo is unhappy. You see, Nola, in order to fix the things that he had with Lebo or the relationship, he apparently, or maybe it's true, I don't know, turned down some international jobs to stay with Lebo and work on their relationship. So the fact that he's finding out now that she's not really happy, that she's talking to other people about it, makes him feel betrayed, makes him feel a type of way, to which Lebo says that he hasn't been putting in the effort in the relationship at all. And she calls him out that he also knows that he keeps on saying things, but nothing actually changed. And she takes the opportunity to break up with him on national TV.
I don't feel like I'm still in love with you anymore, and I've decided to end our relationship.
She waited a year, she tried it, and she was like, F you. I don't know if this was planned or not planned. Honestly, I do not care because they shouldn't be together. And if it took her a year to actually see that he's just that type of person, then so be it. At the end of the day, they ended now and hopefully they broke up. Now, Nola takes this very badly. I mean, who wouldn't, right? But don't you worry, because the self-help guru, Genesis, will help him through this.
You're gonna stand up, you're a man, and life is still ahead of you. This is not the end of life. And great and bigger things are gonna come in the future, but you need to work on yourself. Because age is not on our side. We're getting old. And we can't transform our bodies, but not our minds.
Okay, Pastor, you can sit down. Maybe I'm rude, it could be, but the speech he gave to Nola, when it comes to Nola and him being emotional, I don't want to be too rude, but I do believe that he is genuinely upset. I do believe that maybe those tears are real in some way, though Lebo is kind of saying that that's an act. She even says that he has multiple personality and she just does not understand which one is real. So according to her, also him being emotional is an act. But I would say that Nola is really upset. He's upset that she broke up with him on national TV, okay? That he's been embarrassed. That's what he is upset about, according to my personal opinion. Now, Kanya and Nakateko are still together, and they actually show Kanya clips of her behavior. And while watching the clips, she does laugh a little bit, and I can imagine that's also it's uncomfortable to watch something like that. But at the end of the day, she does acknowledge that behavior was not okay, and she apologizes to Caesar for body shaming her. She actually says that what was displayed in the show is not a reflection of who she is. It is a reaction to how she felt because Nakateko was doing what he was doing. And Nakateko actually takes responsibility for her acting the way she did because he shouldn't have been so cozy with Caesar. But things get even worse. They just had their first baby.
So while we were working through our stuff and our relationship, a baby happened.
Guys, congratulations. That's amazing.
You know, when you experience such loss of hope, when it came out that she's actually pregnant with Nakateko, or that they just had a baby with Nakateko, despite everything that we know, it really, I genuinely was like, oh my God, I have no hope in this anymore. This is bad. It did not feel good at all. Kanya is happy. They are happy because they got a baby boy. And we also learned that Nakateko actually lost his dad very early on when he was 3 years old due to brain cancer. And his wish was always to have his own son for who he could be there. I think something like that, which made the whole situation even more sad. Because from my perspective, I was literally seeing a man in an abusive relationship that is even more now stuck in it. Of course he's not stuck in it, and no one should feel stuck. But it almost felt like even this, like, wow, the strength that you need to have, and he does have it, everyone has it, to step out of that relationship and everything that you're gonna go through it. You can do it. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. Doesn't matter, kids, doesn't matter anything. But it still does feel a little bit, I felt a bit, it was a heavy feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but it was a heavy feeling. And that's all from my side. This is the full recap of the Ultimatum South Africa, 2 parts. It's been a journey, and let me know how you felt about everything. Thank you for watching, and as always, trust your individuality.